Most of what's on this desk was actually 3D printed. Custom mounts for all my devices, drawers, cable management, and even my Mac and monitor. Okay, maybe not those, but really there's a ton of useful prints to go over. And it's not just about saving money, it's about printing things that you can't buy. No one makes them, and that's what makes them so special. Like this MagSafe holder that clips onto my desk shelf so that I can easily charge it and keep it in standby mode without taking up space. You can't just buy something like this. The alternative would be a bulky built-in solution or something like this from Oaky Wood for nearly $100. But even if that was free, I'd still take this instead. It's way smaller and it actually feels like an extension of the desk. It's rock solid, it doesn't shake when I dock or remove the phone, and it was about 40 cents to print. I also route the cable behind the shelf using these tiny clips that I printed for close to nothing. And right next to it on the side, I got the same thing but for the Apple Watch. And I like this even more. It blends in so well that it actually feels like it came built into the desk. It sits flush and the cable is 100% hidden. And unlike the iPhone where you can at least find a few overpriced mounts, there's just nothing like this for the Apple Watch, no matter how much you're willing to spend. I also have this mount for my AirPods Max. And what's cool about this one is that they trick the headphones into thinking they're inside the case, so they go to sleep instantly and stop draining the battery. This is much nicer than having to use the case every time and way cleaner on the desk. And by the way, I found these as well as all the other models I'll show you today on makerworld.com. And one cool thing about Makerworld is that it kind of works like a social media app with a For You page that gets more accurate the more you print and the more ratings you give. Just the other day I was browsing to see what's new and I came across this drawer set. And at first I didn't think much of it, but then I scrolled down to see how it looked on other people's setups and found one that really caught my eye. It was using wood PLA. I asked which one it was and I placed an order right away. And the final result is just perfect for me. It reminds me of the Besta collection from IKEA, which I already have a couple pieces of in my office, so this fits right in. This is where I keep my filming SSD, a couple cables, my pliers, and this tiny desk vacuum. Super happy with how it turned out. And if you're wondering what this grid is, it's called Gridfinity and it was created by a YouTuber called Zach Friedman, and it's a system to organize just about anything. You place it on the base of your drawers and then put different prints inside it that were made specifically to fit inside this grid. You can make these on your own or do what I do and just search for whatever you want to print on Makerworld and add the word Gridfinity at the end. I've got these in my main desk drawer, which is the one I open the most, and in pretty much every other drawer around the house. Everything has its own little spot, so I always know where to find what I need, and it also makes great use of the limited space that I have. And speaking of making great use of space, I had a couple of Uplay bars lying around and I wanted them to bounce slide off the wall behind my monitor. And I found the perfect model that mounts them to the VESA mount on my monitor, and it even lets me adjust the angle. Once again, something you just can't buy. And I control these with an Akara button that's placed under my desk using this 3D printed mount. This is way better than using the adhesive it comes with, which is a nightmare to remove, and this also makes swapping batteries much easier. I have these set up to trigger my light bars with one tap, my AC with 2, and the rest of my lights with a long press. This is all done using Home Assistant, and I'll be making a video about this soon, so make sure you're subscribed. To the side, I have a mount for my Caldigit Dock, and this is one of the few things in this video that you can actually buy, but it'll cost you around $20. I printed this in about an hour for less than $1 in filament. It also fits right into my cable management system, which I'll get to in a minute. Okay, so now let's take it up a notch. If you're on a Mac Mini or Mac Studio, your only real way to use Touch ID is with Apple's Magic Keyboard. The problem is, not all of us want to use that keyboard. And honestly, once you switch to mechanical keyboards, you won't either. If you have an Apple Watch, you can unlock your Mac with it, but it's still not as fast as pressing a button, plus a lot of the times I have mine charging. And I know some people go as far as mounting a full Magic Keyboard to the bottom of their desk. And I was planning on doing it too until I saw this video from Snazzy Labs where he took apart the keyboard and 3D printed a case just for the Touch ID sensor. And I was almost set on using his model, but I figured I'd check what else is on Makerworld, and I came across this one from Layered. And I liked the design of this even more, and it seemed easier to print and to assemble. So I bought a second-hand Magic Keyboard, followed the instructions to get the Touch ID sensor, and put it inside the 3D model. I've had this working for around a month now, and it's not failed me once. And since it's always plugged in, I never have to think about battery life. And yet, there's a lot going on under the desk, but this is actually a lot simpler than it seems. It all starts with this thing here. This is called a multi-board, and it works kind of like Gridfinity. It's a modular grid that you screw into your desk, and you can then attach other prints to it that were made specifically for the multi-board using these little hexagons that snap right in. And the creator on Makerworld named Katie built an entire ecosystem of cable management tools like cable channels, mounts, hooks, all designed specifically for the multi-board. And what makes it great is how modular it is, because you can move stuff around anytime you want. Everything just snaps in without any tools or extra screws, but it still feels super solid once it's in place. It even holds my power strip with everything plugged in without a problem. And as for the cables, you just run them through the channels and close the channels with a lid. And because I labeled every channel with my label maker, I always know exactly where each cable is. I'm not gonna lie, this was actually really fun to set up. It's like the adult version of Lego. Before this, I was using those little adhesive clips. And I mean, they get the job done, but you can still see all the wires, and you can't just move it around anytime you want to add or remove stuff to your desk. Plus, when you do want to remove them, they leave a bunch of residue behind. This is cleaner and much more future-proof. Once the grid is in, everything else is tool-free and movable. You can easily upgrade, reorganize, or add new gear anytime without ever making another hole on your desk. Okay, so everything so far has been functional, but there's a whole world of decorative prints too. I printed this vase from my IKEA plant, and I love how it turned out. But I also have decorative prints all around the house, like these sculptures that I still can't believe are 3D printed, vases, and a bunch of other unique pieces. Oh, and by the way, once you find a print you like, make sure to check out that creator's profile on makerworld. It's just like YouTube. If you like one thing they made, you'll probably like the rest as well. That's what happened here. I found this, clicked on the account, and got completely hooked. And I've been printing all the models you've seen in this video on the Bambu Lab P1S. And I've been a Bambu user for quite a while now. I've raved about them way before they even knew who I was, so you can imagine how excited I got when they agreed to sponsor this video. They sent over the P1S, and I've gotta say, for the price, this thing is kinda ridiculous. It's basically giving you the performance of their flagship X1C, but at a much lower cost. It's also fully enclosed, so you don't have to worry about fumes, and you can print materials like ABS with no problem. And it's fast, like really fast, and super reliable too. I've had it running non-stop without a single failed print, and the quality has been consistently great, which makes sense as this is the printer most print farms use. And that says a lot. If you're thinking of getting into 3D printing or just want something that's reliable and easy to use, the P1S is a great pick. And right now, Bambu Lab is running a 3-year anniversary sale, so if you're interested, check out the link in the description. But there's a lot more that you can print for your desk, like headphone stands, cup holders, desk trays, you name it. These are just the ones that made the most sense from my setup. And this isn't 3D printing just for the sake of it. These are all things I actually use every day. It's not novelty stuff like a 3D printed mouse or some random add-on that looks cool but you'll never actually use. And also, just because you can print something doesn't always mean you should. You're not going to replicate the feel of a metal drawer or a real wood monitor stand. But for everything else, especially the stuff that you can't buy, it's a no-brainer. There are also more complex prints I've been looking at, and I'll be covering those in a future video, so make sure you're subscribed and don't forget to check out Bambu Lab's 3-year anniversary sale using my link in the description. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.